Hello, and welcome to this training. It's conversion funnels in a nutshell. How to craft a predictable selling system that transforms strangers into rabid buyers. Here's what to expect in this training. You'll leave this room or this training with the foundations of conversion funnels and customer value optimization, including the customer value optimization method, conversion funnel lingo, um, the metrics that matter as well. All right, so let's talk about the method, the principles of a well-executed conversion funnel. And so when you think of your business, there's leads, there's conversions, there's margins and frequency. And when you look at your leads and you look at your conversions, your margins, and your frequency of return, that's when you can really take a look at your growth potential. And so just doubling the amount of leads that you have could potentially double your business. And what is doubled if you actually were able to double your margin? If we tweaked all these things a little bit, then doubling your business is completely possible. So when we're looking at the conversion funnel, what we're going to do is look at how we can increase your leads, conversions, margins, and frequency. Now, you don't have to double each of these areas to be able to double your business, but really the method behind it is just to say that if you can increase even a little bit each of these things, then your growth potential is quite high. And so with that, the first thing to look at would be to determine your product fit. So that's the first step. And so really it's a fancy way to look at your core offer and define what that is. So what is your flagship offer? What are the different things? What is the thing that you try, your main thing that you sell? And so in other words, does our market even want kind of what we're selling? And really, you need a product that doesn't suck. But everyone is buying one thing, and it doesn't matter what you're selling, actually. And what they're really looking for is transformation. And so here's what I mean. In the before state, there's someone that's sad or discontent in some kind of way because they don't know your product or service exists. And so this is a person that's in the before state. And then once they have your product or service, they're in the after state, and you can see they're much happier. So when it comes to it, in all sales, what you're really doing is moving a person from a less desirable before state to a more desirable after state. And so a great sales message simply articulates the shift, aka the transformation, from the before state to the after state. So let's look at some examples. Here is an old ad for Apple iPods. And they're not as frequently seen as they are today, but when you look at this ad, what you can see is people dancing, enjoying music, and so with an iPod, that is the after. This is a great marketing message. It's showing you what that after looks like. So here's another example. This is plastic, and so it allows you to pay for things that don't typically accept credit cards. And so thereafter, you can see that there's the girl there, she's relaxed, drinking her coffee, and the phrasing, never write a check again, comes up. And then there's this example with brand yourself, and it just says, look great when employers, clients, and even dates Google you. And so that's a great after. And then here's one for true conversion. They help you do heat maps and different things like that on your website, so you can see how people are flowing through your site. And so you can see the girl in the background, she's super excited, and it says it's easy to double your sales when you know exactly what your customers want. And so that's really helping to sell that after. And then there's this example with just junk. You see they're in the back, the person's leaving with the truck, and they're super happy, and it just says, "Goodbye junk, hello relief." Perfect example of depicting that after. And so this, I love how this is actually a video that was on their site, kind of in the background. You see the people, they're super happy. This is great. You know, the truck drives by, and then all of a sudden um, their junk is gone, right? And so this is a great example of showing that after and showing how they help you. And so they had junk before, they don't have junk now. And so let's take a look at the before and after grid. So in the before and after grid, there's typically 5 things that can change. And so there's what people have before or after your product or service, what they feel before or after, what their average day looks like, if their status changes at all, or if there's some kind of component like a good versus evil. This before and after grid is available for download, so you can fill it out for yourself and be able to kind of map out what your before and after is, what type of customer segments you're selling this to, and the different products or services that it applies to. And then once you do the before and after grid, the next thing to look at would be the 30-second sales pitch, aka a statement of value. And so you know how emotion it is when insert before. You know how frustrating it is when you don't know how to do marketing. And so as you go through and craft your statement of value, you can empathize with them. Example, I've been there before, we hear you, we found the same to be true, etc. And then that's why I created Success Digital. And then this is where you would want to imply ownership when crafting your statement of value. Once you have it, once you've completed as a client, as a member, once you call us, etc. So once as a member, you'll be able to get access to all the marketing walkthroughs and trainings that we use to service our clients and get success for them. And then again, you'll insert after, and you'll be able to use it too. So going through and crafting your statement of value is a great thing. So if there's going to be a worksheet as well to craft out your statement of value, so just go ahead and download that and just ask yourself, what is the emotion that someone feels before they have your product or service? And what is that after that you're getting them to? So if you know the before and you know the after, you can go ahead and do your statement of value. And so I'm just going to switch back to really quickly the before and after grid. So let me walk through this with Success with Digital. So the customer segments could be small business owners, people that are freelancers, that are trying to get more clients, that are trying to get more of a system in terms of implementing marketing, or they just might want the social aspect of the membership because they work by themselves at home alone. So the product or service would be the actual membership itself. And so what do they have before? Well, they probably have a lot of questions about marketing, or they're unsure how to move forward with their marketing. What would they have after? They would have defined step-by-step processes that they can use to implement winning marketing strategies. How do they feel before becoming a member? Well, before they might feel confused, they might feel stressed out, they might feel alone. Afterwards, they might feel more confident, they might feel successful, they might feel happy. Their average day before might have spent a lot of time on Google, trying to find Google answers, not really understanding which answer is the right answer, which answer is still relevant, all of that fun stuff. And then the average day afterwards would be hanging out at the Success with Digital School, chatting with other students, and also getting the answers that they need and actually being able to get stuff done. So their status before, they might have felt, like maybe they were a junior level marketer, and maybe afterwards they feel like they're a superstar. And then when it comes to good versus evil, in our sense, because a lot of the marketing tactics that we use are used by larger corporations, they're enterprise level marketing. So it could be, that before they didn't have access to this, but now afterwards, they're leveling the playing field because it's not just um, enterprise level businesses and corporations that can use this to grow their businesses. And so after we mapped out our before and after grid, that's when we were able to go in and craft the statement of value. You know how frustrating it is when you don't know which way to go with your marketing? I've been there before, and we found the same to be true. And that's why I created the Success with Digital membership. And once you become a member, you'll be able to have the answers you need to be able to implement a winning marketing campaign too. All right, so I hope that helps. If you have any questions about that, feel free to comment on this video or send us a question in the Facebook group. All right, so step 2 is all about optimizing your lead magnet. And so with the customer value journey, you determine your product fit. But then from there, you're going to look at what you can have as a lead magnet. And so a fact is most sales won't occur on the first visit. So you must convert the visitor into a subscriber so you have the ability to follow up. But what's really important with a lead magnet is that you must speak to a specific problem or desired end result. It can't be generic. And so what I don't mean is this: introductory guide on how to use landing pages for your business, or sign up for our newsletter. Those are not considered lead magnets. Great lead magnets make a specific promise. They give a specific example. They offer a specific shortcut, and they also answer a specific question. They also deliver they could also deliver a specific discount. So they can be one discount or educational. And so when it comes to making a specific promise, you don't need to try to be clever. It's just really straight up what you're offering. And so here's an example: how to grow enough food to feed a family of 4 in just 4 square feet of space, even if you don't have a yard. That is a very specific promise. Anyone that reads that, if they want to be able to grow food for their family in a small space, they know that that is the promise that they're being told. All right. So another would be to give a specific example, i.e. case study. So here's an example of digital marketer and how they did a free video case study where they generated leads, increased engagement on Facebook in 18 hours without any paid Facebook advertising. No joke. And so this is a very specific example on how they did that. All right, so then there's the ability to offer a specific shortcut. For example, lists and handouts. So again, here's an example with digital marketer and how they have this ultimate social media swipe file that has proven headline formulas to get more clicks from Facebook, Twitter, and your own blog. There's also this example here: free My Complete Blueprint to Importing from China. If that is something that you're interested in, it's very specific, you know what you want. All right, and so next would be to answer a specific question. So this is a product for air filters, but then on their landing page, what it is really the ability to buy direct replacement water filters and water filtration systems wholesale for trade distributors and OEMs. So that's very, very specific. But anyone that fills this out knows that they're filling it out because they want to sell wholesale and they want to be able to get that catalog and price list. So it's a very specific in that sense. And then there's delivering a specific discount. So if you look here, you'll see that there's Kate Spade, and they're having a Black Friday edition of they're having a Black Friday sale where you enjoy up to 75% off and free ground shipping. Well, when you get to the landing page, that's exactly what is offered as well. So you can see that it's very specific. You're making a specific promise, and that's what you're going to get. There's also delivering a specific discount. And so here they have that you can join the discount club and save 5% instantly. So if that is something that you're interested in, then you can go in and get that specific discount, which is really big on a lot of websites now. So that's how you can kind of plan out what your lead magnet is going to be, whether it's going to be information, whether it's going to be a discount. There's a lot of different ways that you can offer a lead magnet. It could be a white book, an ebook, a case study. Really, there's a lot of different options. It's just looking at how your how the people in your audience get moved from that before stage to that after stage, and what kind of information would they need to get in order to be able to push them further down that conversion funnel. And so then what we're going to do is look at the third step, and this is all about optimizing the entry offer point. And so also, this is also known as a tripwire. So remember this, how we move people from that before stage to the after stage, and every great sales message simply articulates the shift, aka the transformation from the before state to the after state. Well, when we do that, we will look and we will know that we have our statement of value. And so by doing that, we say, okay, well, what is it that they really want? What is that after? And when we look at the entry point offer, what we're going to want to do is look at that main thing, that flagship offer, and say, how can we break off a little chunk of that that's going to give them a taste of what that after is going to be like. And so you know that now you know exactly what your market wants. The hard work's done, right? Wrong. And so what we're really wanting to do now is be able to articulate that before to that after. And so write this down. Just because you know what your market wants, just because you know your market wants what you're offering, that doesn't mean they know they want it, nor does it mean that they know they want it from you, at least not yet. And so it's not your visitors and it's not that your visitors and prospects don't want to buy from you. It's just that they want to date first. And that's what an entry point offer, aka a tripwire, allows you to do. And so what is an entry point offer? It's a compelling, low barrier to entry offer designed to create micro commitments that convert prospects into buyers. And so you think about people when they first start dating, they typically don't just jump right into marriage. They say, hey, we should hang out sometime. Maybe we can go grab a coffee. Not very much commitment to that. Easy to say yes to. Perfect. And so there's two different types of commitments that they can make. There's their wallet by actually making a purchase. So you can see an example here with Columbia House. They used to have, get 13 records or tapes for $1, and then all of a sudden you're part of their membership club. I think I still owe Columbia House some money. So there's two types of commitments. Their wallet, so an example would be the Columbia House, $1 for 13 tapes. Or there's also things like their calendar. So this would be them being willing to do an exchange of time. So this can be a webinar, a demo, an appointment, etc. And so the best tripwires are splinter offers. And what I mean by that is taking your core offer and just taking a little piece of that core offer in some kind of way that you can sell them just little bits. And once they have that bit and they get value out of it, then they want the entire product. So the core offer of digitalmarketer.com is called DM Lab, Or if you look at us with Success with Digital, we take DM's trainings and we convert them to something that local businesses can implement. And so the case study, how we get paid members into DM Lab. The core offer is digitalmarketer.com. It's called DM Lab. And one of the member benefits is access to the execution plan. And so an example of a splinter offer would be to sell one item that's in this membership. And so, for example, let's splinter this execution plan on increasing engagement with Facebook promoted posts and sell that as a low dollar $7 offer. We also start with social media swipe files, so that can be free. That's them wanting to give you their contact information to be able to subscribe. From there, we would do that entry offer that's low dollar for $7, and then from there, we would try to sell them on the lab membership. And so, some examples of that would of tripwires would be this EverStrike PermaMatch. This was an ad that was put on Survival Life, and it's just basically a match that will always strike. But the people that are interested in that kind of product most likely are trying to plan for, when the world kind of collapses. Also, there's another example here of silver knot cufflinks that they can get absolutely free. Most likely they'll have to pay shipping. But if there's someone there if there's someone that's showing interest in these cufflinks or in this Strike Anywhere match, then they're showing intent. They're showing intent that they're interested in that type of product. And so that's a great tripwire offer. But tripwires don't necessarily need to be sexy. They can just show that there's market relevance. And so an example of this would be there are people that like to make candles, and so a tripwire offer would be someone that sells the wicks. If they're buying the wicks, then they're most likely going to want to buy other supplies for candles. So it's showing market relevance and buyer intent. There's also this example from eBay where someone can get 100 pieces of 100 guitar picks. If they're interested in guitar picks, then most likely they play the guitar, and you would be able to sell them other types of instruments or products that have to do with guitars. There's also tripwires, remember, that are built off time. And so there's webinars, and webinars give you a chance to build rapport. So time is an exchange here, but if you're able to build that rapport with them, then they'll most likely move on to the next part of the funnel. And then there's also trials and demos that show commitment. They're willing to sign up for a free trial so that they can try it out and see if they like it. So again, they're exchanging their time. And so splinter offers show commitment and set up the sale. So let's look at some more splinter offer examples. It could be a personal trainer that sells a juice cleanse. It could be a web designer that sells logos. It could be a dentist that sells teeth whitening at cost. Or it could be even a roofer that offers gutter cleaning, or maybe even a hosting service that sells website templates. These are all great splinter offers that would be splintered off your main flagship offer. All right, so once you have figured out what your tripwire is, then the next thing to look at would be your profit maximizer. And what is that you can offer there? And so a fact is that the second sale is the cheapest and easiest sale you will ever make. And the most effective profit maximizers of all offer speed and automation. And so if you can help your customer achieve their desired end result, aka thereafter, faster and with less work, they'll buy every time. And so let's look at some examples of speed and automation upsells. There's expedited delivery, assembly or advanced training on how to use a product. There's done for you services like software and even consulting. There's installation or migration services, as well as a higher level of customer support. And then there's also more hands-on experience or the opportunity to move a client to the front of the line. These are all great profit maximizers that you can upsell after the core offer that would provide them with speed and automation. So the three magic words when thinking of profit maximizers is want some help. Is there any way that we can help you with that? And so one thing to know is that it doesn't necessarily, with profit maximizers, it doesn't have to just be your product. It could be that you have a main product and then what you do is you outsource an additional product from another company, but it's just something that you sell within your line of products that will help them move along faster. All right. And so once you've figured out your profit maximizer, then we look at architecting a return path. And so the return path is all about how we bring our audience, bring our customers back to us in order to be able to market to them again. And so remember that most sales won't occur on the first visit, and that's why you follow up. That's why we optimized your lead magnet back in step 2. But it's not just email. There's actually quite a few different ways to be able to return people to your marketing path or your marketing funnel. And so one is exit offers. So the way exit offers work is there's traffic that comes to your site. If a new visitor who enters your page looks at 3 pages and leaves, then you can show them an exit offer or a pop-up upon exit that gives them an offer. You can also do that with a returning visitor who came from email. You can look at visitors who have added to the cart, returned back to the shop, and then abandoned. Then you can give them follow-up emails to let them know that they can get a discount on the products. There's a lot of different ways that you can do exit offers. Another way to do a return path would be retargeting. And so retargeting is the different platforms, Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of these have the option for you to get what's called a retargeting pixel or a remarketing pixel. And you can install this little snippet of code on your website. And what it does is it allows you to market back to the people that maybe didn't take action that first time. And so what happens is someone visits your site, and when they leave your site, they later, as they browse the internet, your ad will display on other sites. So think of if you had a home improvement store, someone comes to your website, they leave without purchasing anything, and then all of a sudden they're looking on the home and garden channel and they see your ads in the sidebar. Your retargeting ad would capture their interest, and then all of a sudden the internet user converts to a loyal customer. That's another way of optimizing your return path. But nothing is as effective as automated email follow-up. And so the 5-phase email follow-up machine has 5 steps to it. There's 1, indoctrination. That's teaching people about your brand, who you are, and really getting them to know you, like you, and trust you. The second one is all about engagement and for you to learn what they're interested in. Then there's the ascension. That's moving them from maybe just knowing who you are, liking who you are, being into your content, but actually ascending into becoming a customer. And then there's the segmentation. And so we offer quite a few different services, but not all services would be relevant to every customer. And so by showing them, by us understanding what they're interested in that engagement stage, we're able to then segment them and put them through another email cycle because we know that maybe they're interested in social media. And so they went through, they purchased social media training, and then all of a sudden we're going to start sending them educational content again to see what strikes them. And so the next go around, it might be that they all of a sudden click on a blog post for email marketing. And so we're able to segment our list and not have to send the same message to everyone on the list. We're being hyper specific because we want them to be able to re-engage with us, and we want to make sure that we're not burning out the list by sending too many emails without relevant data. And so just to recap, the formula that we talked about earlier with the leads, conversions, and everything else, that if we were to actually double all of these factors, then the growth potential of a business would be 8 times the growth potential. So let's just take a look at some of the lingo, the language of a conversion funnel master. So here's some things to know. There's a statement of value, very important. The statement of value allows you to really make it very clear what value you bring to the table for your customers. There's also product splintering. How can you look at your flagship offer and what ways can we splinter it in order to be able to have people purchase low barrier to entry offers? Then there's the profit maximizers that help with speed and automation upsells. And then there's the automated email follow-up, which is the return path. And so once you understand that, then you can start to look at the metrics on how conversion funnels are measured. And so some metrics that matter would be the cost per acquisition. This is how much it costs you to acquire a customer. Another thing to look at would be ACV, average customer value. How much is the average customer worth to you? Is it $10? Is it $100? And then also looking at the lifetime customer value. If a customer is, what is the length, I guess, that a customer is typically with you? How much do they normally on average spend in that time? That's your lifetime customer value. And it's important to know that information so that you can make educated decisions on how much you can spend for your marketing. And then there's earnings per click. For every click that you receive, how much do you earn? All right. And so I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this Nutshell presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment in the Facebook group or the next time we meet up at a session. I'd love to hear all about it, and I'll talk to you soon.